Welcome to another edition of the Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Zellea from Back Sports Page, and
I'm Emerito Rivera from Level 1 Games in Pompton Plains, New Jersey.
What's going on, Em? How are you doing today?
I am good. Dude, we are recording on one of the coldest days of the year. So I'm wearing long johns, and it's been a very, very trying day to stay warm.
Yeah, well, we are in the winter season. I am wearing my Santa outfit as we speak, but it is one of those great things right now. And dude, I'm so excited for this show. And we had a really good guest for this week's episode. You guys picked the right week to download us. But before we do that, Em, like I gotta say, it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan.
It definitely is, dude. Listen, you got Impact, you have Ring of Honor, you have AEW, WWE, New Japan. You know, I'm always going to throw New Japan up in there. It's so much content. It's hard to keep up sometimes, but we are lucky as hell during a pandemic that we have this much stuff to focus on.
Yeah, and it's amazing too on how much, and you have to give WWE, AEW, New Japan a lot of credit for ROH and Impact as well for being able to still put their shows on during the pandemic with fans or without fans. I think WWE has done an amazing job with the Thunderdome, and they sort of took the NBA model and made it bigger on how they have the fans on the walls there. Then AEW started with putting their wrestlers ringside, and then eventually started letting select on fans come in. Impact is still just them, you know, nobody in the stands and a Ring of Honor.
I don't know if you noticed, they changed it because for a while they were just quiet. Now you have ambience. They threw in the ambience noise. It sounds like you have a lot of people there, and it to me, it made a world of difference. You know, it feels like I'm reacting along with people instead of just watching an empty arena show. So
Yeah.
I'm kudos with that. That's a thumbs up.
Yeah, I like what they're doing too. And you know, Ring of Honor is now back, and of course, New Japan seems to be ahead of the curve of everybody else. They now have a live audience again. And look,
considering they're back in a state of emergency, but they still have hundreds to sometimes I think they have 14,000 first night of Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, it's impressive on how they're able to still do it. And look, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, and you know, tough times are going to are only going to last a little bit of time right now. We're pushing through, and you know, now we are in what they call the big season for wrestling. You know, AEW has Revolution coming up in March. Impact has already had their first pay-per-view of the year, and they have another one coming up. Ring of Honor is doing their thing. New Japan is doing their thing, and for of course WWE, it's Royal Rumble.
Then WrestleMania right around the corner.
Fastlane, and then WrestleMania, and so it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And we talked about the pandemic in some of our past interviews, which I encourage everybody to go on to all your podcast platforms and listen to some of our previous episodes. We've discussed with a lot of our guests about wrestling in the pandemic era, about the performing in front of either a little crowd or no crowd at all. So you should definitely go back where all you listen to, all your podcasts, download some of our archives. We have some great guests. We have the Colossal Mike Law. We have Diamond Dallas Page, Hurricane Helms, PCO from ROH, the Good Brothers, Rocky Romero. We have so many great episodes. Where this is episode number 13. And M, 13 weeks in, I think we're doing okay.
We're doing all right. Listen, then there's more to come. I'm very excited for our guests coming up. And listen, again, by the time everyone hears this, Royal Rumble would have concluded already.
Yes.
Who do you think won last night?
You're asking me? Oh, man.
I'm asking you. Who do you think won the Royal Rumble for the men's Royal Rumble this year?
Men's Royal Rumble, you know, I know.
Tough one, huh?
It's a tough one because right now on the Raw side, you have Drew McIntyre. And then on the SmackDown side, you have Roman Reigns as their champions. And then they have Goldberg challenging McIntyre. And then tomorrow night, you have Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. I'll tell you, I know that their big plan going in was to have Randy Orton as champion against Edge again, but I think they probably aborted that plan already at this point. Personally, I would love to see who do I think is going to win. Who I would love to see win. I would love to see AJ Styles win the thing because I still think he's the best talent that they got, and I still think he's the most that they can do it with. But he doesn't need a championship to be over right now. I think that I'm going to go with either Randy Orton or Daniel Bryan as the winner of the Royal Rumble.
See, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, and I know this is wishful thinking on my part as a fan, but Daniel Bryan, I'm really rooting for him this year.
Yeah,
Even
well,
though I don't think it's going to happen, but this is just me hoping that maybe if I throw it out there into the universe, it happened last night. So,
well, yeah, and funny thing too is, you said Daniel Bryan before as well as I did. Daniel, they planted the seeds a couple months ago on SmackDown for Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, so I feel like it makes sense. It's such a tough thing, and the same thing with the women's Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair's back in the picture. There's rumors of Becky
that
Lynch.
was my pick.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
They said Becky Lynch might come back into the picture now because she's already had the baby, and she might have that issue to come back. I don't know. I hope it's not Ronda Rousey.
Well, listen, I'll say this: whoever won last night, I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and
that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's most important thing is to enjoy all the wrestling that's going on right now.
And listen, if you didn't enjoy it, watch something else. There's plenty out there for you to watch. There's so many companies doing a hell of a job, and we're gonna prove that today. We're about to talk to Tasha Steelz. She just won the Knockouts tag team championships maybe a couple of weeks ago at the last pay-per-view. So there's stuff out there. You don't like what you're watching, flip the channel, go to the other company, and you'll enjoy that. I guarantee we're gonna have a hell of an interview in about a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and a great interview with Tasha Steelz. And listen, kudos to Impact Wrestling, a company that had really struggled to, they if you remember, they came into the scene back in 2002 under Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett, and they were the first ones to do weekly pay-per-views back in the day, and they got Spike TV to make a deal. Then the Carters took over, and I think up until 2009. They were really running a great show with having guys like Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Christian Cage, a lot of guys. And there were a lot of interchangeable guys. Now they're really they had a little bit of a down period, but now they're ramping it back up again. And this is why you guys will love our interview with the co-holder of the Knockouts Championships with Kiera Hogan. This is Tasha Steelz. We're back here on the Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast. With us now, one of the rising star of Impact's women roster, Tasha Steelz. Tasha, thanks for giving us a few minutes today.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
How are you today, Tasha Steelz from Fire and Flavor?
Yes, Fire and Flavor.
I love that. You're Puerto Rican, right? I'm Puerto Rican as well. You're the flavor.
Yeah, you damn right. You damn right. I got the sazon y adobo también. I got it all. Todo.
Took the words right out of my mouth because I
didn't understand one word of that. Okay, just for the record.
I told Randy, I was like, "Look, I'm gonna bring it up, man. I'm gonna say I'm Puerto Rican, just like her." The sazon, and he's like, "I don't know what sazon is."
Yeah, I thought that was something. I thought that was something I put on my food. I wasn't 100% sure. But
it is
okay.
It's the flavor.
Okay, see, I knew. Yes,
he's learning.
Yes, I
feel got it. You got it. See.
All right, this was a great interview, everybody. I feel like I just learned something. So let's. So Tasha, the funny thing here, because we were doing research for this interview, and not only was I excited to speak to a fellow Jerseyan, knowing that you're from Bloomfield, and I have a lot of ties with Nutley, but you also know a good friend of mine by the name of Kevin Knight.
I do know who Kevin Knight is. Yes, I do.
Yes, Kevin. I always say that if you've trained with Kevin or done work with Kevin, you're getting to show things the right way from what I understand. So it's always nice to see these different connections that the small little world we have.
It's a small world after all.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings me to one of my questions. Basically, what brought you to pro wrestling? I mean, I've been there watching TV and going, you know what, I want to do this. Like, what actually drew you in?
It was the same watching as a little kid. I immediately, as a little kid, got hooked to just wrestling because it was something different that I've never saw before. And my cousin introduced me to it. And then as we got older, he introduced me not to just WWE. He introduced me to ECW. He introduced me to WCW. And I was like, holy hell, especially watching ECW, I was like, oh, this is some good shit, So excuse me for cursing.
No.
But Okay, cool. So I was hooked. I was hooked on everything because it was just so different. Every promotion brought something different, and I just got hooked to it. And it was just like I would tell my mom to, like, for my birthday, like, all I want is like blank VCR tapes so I can just record it and just keep watching it until like the next week comes up. And that's what I just kept doing. And then I was just watching the women as well being in the ring, and it was just like, oh, the women are doing it too, so like this is something for me. This is like, I can do this. And that's what just inspired me the most to, like, all right, I don't want to become no doctor, no lawyer, nothing like that. Like, all I want to do is stay in sports and be a professional wrestler. And people thought it was a phase. They were like, this is a phase. You're going to get out of it. And once you graduate from high school, it's going to like be in the back of your mind. But nope. Once I graduated high school, that was the first thing I wanted to do, look up schools. And that's what I started doing at the same time, like, trying to, transfer back and forth, like to college and stuff. But of course, college, it didn't really work in my plans. So I stuck with just staying, trying to become a professional wrestler.
That is
And
awesome.
can you talk about how difficult your training was? Was it what you thought it would be? Was it a little easier? Can you talk about what the training regimen was and how it was for you?
When I first started training, I didn't know what to expect because all I've been doing is watching this stuff on TV, and I was thinking, okay, this is gonna be easy. Until I took my first back bump, and I was like, oh hell no, this is not easy at all. Like, I was in so much pain for like a week just for taking one back bump, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, like each time that I kept taking a back bump and I just wanted to quit so bad. Like, this is not for me. Like, no, I rather just watch it on TV. But I just kept pushing myself, like, this is what you want to do, like, no pain, no gain. I felt worse playing basketball. I felt worse running track. Like, I've done sports all my life. So it's just like, all right, this little, you can get over it. Just hit the chiropractor, go and get a massage. You're fine. Like, it's all good. So that I just kept doing it. I just kept pushing myself, and yeah, after a while, training just started. You just start getting used to it, and you just started. Once you get used to it, it's just like it, like just walking in a park.
Yeah, like one of the things that I was always amazed with is that people don't realize hitting the ropes hurts. Like,
Oh
those
my god.
ropes hurt.
Oh yeah, especially when you're hitting actual ropes, because some rings have like cables, but when you're
Mhm.
actually hitting those actual ropes, like you hitting them hard, you like people when they have the marks on their backs, that's not makeup, that's for real, and trust, you will feel it the next morning.
But what was
So
it for you? What was it for you? Who did you like look up to? And when you were training, you're like, okay, I remember watching this when I was younger, and I can put this into what's going to be my repertoire. Who did you sort of model your style after once you felt you were trained enough?
Well, I've always loved Triple H. He was my all-time favorite wrestler. I've also watched Eddie Guerrero. But I know I couldn't do half the stuff Eddie does. So I knew that took a lot of practice. Triple H is more 80s style wrestler, like more like basic style with a little twist to it. So I was able to do the things he'd done, especially like when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You just saw his style was like exactly like William Regal. So just watching that, like I was like, okay, I knew I can just do the things that he can do, because he wasn't a high flyer. He didn't do too much. Like, he stuck to his guns, and he was like more of a fighter. So that's what I like to do. I like to fight. And then once I got deep into training and just became more of like, all right, I want to learn more, I started watching a lot of Eddie stuff, and I started watching a lot of Rey Mysterio things. And when I discovered that I can become Ariel just as much as they can, I was excited as hell because I didn't think I could do it, but I did. And then it was just, okay, now going back to the ladies, I would watch China, I would watch Trish Stratus, I would watch Jazz, I would watch Jacqueline and Ivory, back in the Attitude Era, and then going in watching Mickey James and Victoria and Gail Kim and people like Madison Rain. Like, they were just watching them in the future. It was just like, okay, I can just copy these styles that these ladies are doing, because what they're doing, I can definitely do in the ring. And, that's what inspired me as well.
see, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because obviously when you become a pro wrestler, you inherit a persona, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk to you about that. Who is Tasha Steelz? How did you become Tasha Steelz? Is that a little bit of part of you? Is that a lot? Like where'd you get that from?
You know, um, I'm from Newark originally, and from the brick city, and I ain't gonna say it's the suburbs out there. It's not. It's definitely the hood out there, and you got to be tough living out there. But I used to be like a shy, quiet girl back in the days, and I think mostly my mother brought like that Tasha Steelz out of me, because she was like, you got to be a little bit more outspoken. Like, closed mouth don't get fed. You got to speak up. Don't let nobody overpower you. Don't let nobody step over you. Nothing like that. And as I got older, I kind of took those words my mother said and I kind of flipped it to like being this complete, I don't give a shit what you say, and F you and F this, and I'm bigger than this person, I'm better than that person, and I'll fight anybody. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're 7 foot tall. Like that was me going on. Literally, when I became in my teens, literally became this badass girl that was just like always getting in trouble in school. And like my mother, she would threaten the hell out of me because she was like, I'm not leaving work not one more time to come pick you up from school. And it was just like, then she pulls out the chancla, and then it's just like from there you're like, oh shit, all right, I gotta start paying attention. So yeah, like I didn't really bring it out until like my teens, and this is 100% Tasha Steelz. Like, this is not something to where I was like, all right, what type of character should I be, what type of gimmick should I have? Like, no, this is 100% me, and this is going to be me to the day I die. I'm probably going to get kicked out of heaven and go right to hell because I'm probably going to end up fighting somebody. So yeah, this is definitely me, 100% me, all me.
Listen, I'm from East Harlem, so I know exactly what you're talking
Hey,
about. So
listen,
I'm probably
see?
gonna be in hell with you. So
Hey, we're going to dap it out. Tu sabe. We
there you
already
go.
know.
Tasha, I have to ask if you have any memories from your first time you performed in front of a live crowd, and also if you remember or if you have some advice that you remember that somebody gave you about being in front of a live crowd performing.
I would always, like to this day, I would stick to this number one thing that Rip Rogers would say. And he will always say, get in, get out, don't get hurt. And that would stick to me always, because it's all about uh being smarter in the ring, So when the first time that I worked in front of a live crowd, I was nervous as hell. Like, oh my gosh, I had the bubble guts. Like this was just like, all right, this is about to happen. I need to remember this match. And I started to forget the match because I'm like, oh my God, it's almost my time to come out the curtains. Like, everything was just going through my head. Probably same thing as everybody else when they first got into a front of a crowd. But once my music hit, and it was just like, people didn't know who you were, but they still supported you anyway because they wanted you to do a really good job. That those butterflies just started leaving me, and I was like, okay, I can get used to it. And it was just like, all right, well, got in the ring, and now it's like, all right, now I got to remember this match because I already did my entrance. Entrance was perfect. Now I got to remember this match. And this was at a time where like I was like, okay, I have to remember it word for word. I didn't get to learn like calling things on the fly yet. Talking in the ring, I didn't really get to learn that yet. So it was just like, all right, I have to remember this match because I don't know if this other person's gonna be like, all right, we're going to this and we're doing this and all that. So I was more nervous of making sure that I got the match down pack. And of course, like I had my moments where I forgot, but yeah, it was a nervous wreck for me. I'm sure everybody else can say the same about like anybody else who had their first live crowd was a whole nervous wreck, and that's how I was.
And I have to ask this too because you had some
Hmm.
great experiences in Ring of Honor, and of course, doing studio wrestling with NWA Power. How did those two experiences help prepare you for now being on Impact? Because you're now in a featured spot in Impact, and obviously ROH has a reputation, and NWA sort of did something totally different. So how did that help you prepare for what you're doing right now?
Well, it definitely made me more diverse on being able to uh learn from different promotions because everybody does things different. Like when you go to Ring of Honor, people are expecting not like your 80s style wrestling. Like with NWA is very old school. So you have like, your Ric Flairs came through there and your Harley Races came through there, so it's very old school there with NWA. Ring of Honor is more like for a younger crowd. So they're expecting a lot, especially, like at the time when I was there, the top dogs were the Young Bucks. So it was just, okay, everything was just super kick this, spot that. So that's what, and it was more of a younger audience there at the time. So that's what they're expecting. They're expecting fast pace and hard hitting and flippies and all this stuff like that. So going into Impact is basically, I would say to me, a combination of both. So I was already at this time ready and prepared. And before even going to Ring of Honor and NWA, I was prepared as far as training wise. I've trained with one of the best trainers in New Jersey, which is Damian Adams. And he's prepared me for these things because he's prepared people like Deonna Purrazzo and Karen Q for these things. And they've had their time with Ring of Honor. So they prepared me as well. So it was all in preparation before getting there. And then once I got there, I already knew like what to do and how to do things. And then once I got to NWA, the only thing I had to get used to was not having any music. And it was just at first, like, you gotta have your own hype and get out there and hype the crowd up yourself. So I think some people were like, how the hell do I do that? But with me, I got all the flavors. So it's just like when I get out there, I know how to make people feel good. I know how to make people jump out of their feet, you know what I'm saying? Music or no music. So that was just the only thing I needed to get used to with NWA. But coming to Impact, like, I just feel like right at home.
So, and now that we're on Impact, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts of the women's division in Impact, the knockouts? Because they're very unique and they're very good.
I'm gonna say this, and it's not because I'm with Impact. Like I've definitely watched this division over the years. I say Impact has the best women's division ever. And I'm gonna still stand by that to this day. Just because we don't have the biggest division with 100 girls doesn't mean that we're not the best. We're definitely the best. Like,
You have skills, yeah.
we have people like myself. We have people like Kiera. We have people like your knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo. We have Jordan Grace, Rosemary, Sue Young. Like, can I keep going with the list? And of course, the women in the past, you had Madison Rayne and Gail Kim and Velvet Sky and Awesome Kong, and you had Mickey James come through there and Tyra. Like, the list goes on and on with women past, present, and hopefully the future that comes in and sees that, why we are calling ourselves the greatest division ever. We bring it every single time and we prove it every single time. And being backstage and being a part of this division means a lot to me. It's so much history that goes behind this. And being a knockouts champion now, it's knockouts tag champion now, is just it hits even harder because now it's like a lot that I have to carry because a torch was passed on to me from former knockout tag champions and Gail Kim and Madison Rayne. So it's now like, all right, now I have to prove myself 10 times more why I belong here. And I think I've been doing a pretty good job so far. So
You have.
I'm
And
good.
Very
And listen, you had the party the other day, and there were two people there to mess you guys up. I saw a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume. What was up with that? Like, why would they come out and mess something like that up, man? I was having fun watching you guys.
We didn't even invite the Marshmallow Man, Nevaeh. We didn't even invite them, the Raggedy Tragedies. They're so bitter that they lost that Hard to Kill, that they had to come and ruin our party. And I felt, and I'm gonna say this, I feel like our party was rigged a little bit. Like, just because Deonna Purrazzo had a shitty black tie affair, I felt like she did something to our party. That's why we had the little messed up food place, because we had some food coming in from the ATL. And I think she rerouted that food and sent it to her locker room and gave us the crappy food. And then I had some Ace of Spades bottle coming to us. And then we ended up getting apple cider because she had apple cider. So I think she rigged our party a little bit along with those Raggedy Tragedies. But it's all good. Because you know what, we're gonna have our own little party and ain't nobody invited except for you guys. You guys are invited to our party.
Thank you.
I would be honored. So
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing
you
I
got
want
the
to
VIP, you know.
one thing I want to ask you before we let you go, because I know your time
Hmm.
is precious and we appreciate you coming on with us, is one of the things you're from here. I'm from New York. He's from Jersey. You're a
Hmm.
local person. What would you tell aspiring wrestlers, people that see you on TV? Like, what advice
Hmm.
would you give them to get into the business?
I would just say that, um, and a lot of people would say it, not to give up, you know. Always know that you're gonna have to make sacrifices. You're gonna have to give a lot to get a lot more. Invest in yourself always, because in order for people to invest in you, you have to believe in yourself first. That's the only way people can believe that you're going to, you know, carry yourself the way that you want to. So I would just tell anybody inspiring that wants to come into this sport, this business, to just keep fighting, keep pushing. There's going to be people that's going to say no 1,000 times, but the 1,000 times that you hear no, there's always going to be a one yes, and that one yes is your blessing. So you take that blessing and you run with it, and you do not look back, and do not listen to anybody that's trying to hold you down.
That's awesome advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then
Oh, thank you guys.
and Tasha, my last question is, can you talk about some of your future goals that you have in Impact Wrestling and for yourself as a performer?
Knockouts
Yeah,
champ.
for me overall, I want to be the best one half knockouts tag champ ever. I think that's a goal for both Kiera and I. We want to be the best women's tag team ever, and we want to be the longest reigning knockout tag team champions ever. And of course, we're the first African American, Afro Latina tag champions. So that right there is a bar that we have completely set. So now you can't limbo under it. You can't leap over it. That is a bar you have to follow through. And I think it's going to be kind of hard because we said it first. So now you ladies that want to inspire to, you know, follow suit with us, it's going to be a big bar you got to carry over that mountain. Um, for me, I just want to be always talked about for years to come. So if I were to not, like, stop wrestling tomorrow, I want, if people say, who's your favorite women's wrestlers now in the present, I want my name to come up. It doesn't have to come up first, but I definitely want my name to come up. I definitely want to, in the future, be a knockouts champion, you know, as well as being have one half of the knockouts tag champion. So if Gail Kim can do it, Tasha Steelz can damn sure do it. And I
Exactly.
want to represent for all my Boricuas out there that, hey, listen, this girl right here, she gonna represent for us, and she gonna take it all the way to the top. So we doing it. So
Let's
that's my
go.
future plans right now.
Tasha, thank you so much. Real quick, we'll let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Real T Steelz. Go to shopimpact.com and get that new fire and flavor t-shirt, because it's fresh, it's hot, it's bad as hell, and I think it's going to be selling out real soon. From my little birdie's been telling me, you know, we had that flash sale, so I think a lot of people been buying our stuff. It's getting off the shelf, so, you know, you heard it here first. Go get that fire and flavor t-shirt. And of course, every Tuesday nights, you can watch your favorite Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Fire and Flavor, on Access TV, 8 p.m., and also on Twitch at 8 p.m. So keep watching us, keep supporting us, and we love everybody.
Yeah, you're gonna see me with that shirt on soon.
Yes, go cop that. Go get that real quick.
Tasha, thank you so very much. Looking forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you so
Yes,
much. It's
thank
been
you
a pleasure.
guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes.
All right, we're back here on the Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast. What a great interview, Tasha Steelz, Jersey's finest, Tasha Steelz.
How cool is she, right? From the tri-state area. She understands us. She's one of us. I love it. She's one of us, Randy. PR. See, I had to wear the hat specifically for this intro and outro.
Yeah, she's one of us. She's one of us.
Well, she's from Jersey, and she's Puerto Rican like me.
From Jersey.
Yes, Puerto Rican.
Jersey. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying all of our shows. And, you know, so we're 13 weeks in. And I got to ask, and, you know, one of the things that you and I have been talking about is our guests have been fun, but we want our listeners to get to know us a little bit better too. And
Yeah, definitely.
for just to explain a little bit more who we are, I met M back in 2016 when Level One Games, which by the way is in Pompton Place, New Jersey, on Route 23.
Shameless plug.
Route 23. By the way, level1games.com. It's level one, the number one games.com. And if
Well, I'm working on that website, so don't go on the website.
Oh, you told me that now.
Yeah, well, you didn't ask.
That's a valid point. But if you guys are in the area, it's definitely stop over. Definitely worth the trip. You can relive your past and take your game to the next level, as I always say. And
then we could talk wrestling, or you might find me there playing one of the old WWE games. One of my favorites is 19. Like, I really enjoyed that before they destroyed 20.
That's another story. That's another story for another show.
We'll hit that next time, because you know what? Honorable mention. We have a friend, Wayne, who Randy set up. He brings him to the store and hands it to me. He's like, "Oh, this guy's great at this video game." So I go crazy.
I never said that. I never said he was great.
Your exact words were he was going to be a challenge to me, and I took it as a challenge. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna teach him a lesson, and I taught him a lesson. Problem was, he never played the game in his life, and I'm whooping his ass. And Randy's sitting there going, "Oh, easy." And I'm like, "What do you mean easy? He's my challenge, is he not?" And then next thing you know, he's like, "Yeah, man, this is the first time I played it." I said, "Excuse me." God damn you, Randy! You told me he was my challenge.
Look,
that was your fault.
Listen, because Wayne was sitting there telling me, he's like, "I really want to play him in the wrestling game. I really want to play him in the wrestling game." I'm like, "All right, and he really wants to play you in the game. What happens? You played him in the
game." You set him up. Oh my God, this guy's so good at wrestling. Oh my God.
Listen. We got off track here. I gotta change the story to make myself look a little bit better here, please, because this is not going to end well for me.
You're the heel in this story. Like, I'm supposed to be the heel.
Well, Em and I met each other in 2016, and we became really good friends ever since. And we are two guys who love talking wrestling. And M called me out on something last week on the phone, or I was on Messenger or something like that. And he called me
you out a lot. You got to be more specific.
Well, I'm getting there. You got to give me a minute to get there. My lordy. So, and he was first. My first thing is when he calls me out something is I deny until I die, and then I'll think about it. And I'm like, and then if he's right, I'll do the "you were right, I was wrong. You're smart, I'm dumb" type of mentality.
This is why I call myself Nostradamus, man. Yeah. My predictions come true.
Well, then because of him calling me out saying that I was more of a sports entertainment fan than I was a pro wrestling fan, I have tried to expand my ways. And that is why we like having a great guest like Tasha Steelz has been awesome, because she is a wrestler. And she was on Impact, and she nailed it out of the park. But because of him, now we are all watching more wrestling, not sports entertainment. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong.
Listen, if you like the sports entertainment, that's awesome. But sometimes you need some pure-hearted, down and gritty pro wrestling. I want to see you guys go at it. It's about a championship. I want it. You have it. Let's go at it. Like, sometimes that's enough. We don't need to add too many layers to it. Sometimes it's cool though.
And that's missing sometimes. And it's missing. Yeah. It's like, there has to be this grand story of why can't it be just, I want the belt, I'm gonna be a number one challenger, and then and like the champion.
We were friends, and I threw you through a barbershop window. Like, whatever happened to that?
Oh, I thought we were talking about us. I was like, I don't think he ever did that. I
haven't done it yet, but that's still on the agenda.
And like I said, though, it's been a fun 13 weeks. Not that we want to try and rate the shows, but has there been any fun moments for you so far doing this, as far as interviews or moments on the show?
There's been so many. It's hard to sit there and pick one. There's been many great guests. There've been many times where we're having fun just talking to people. I think some of our interview styles is more conversational than direct. Hey, I'm an interviewer. Like, I rather talk to you. I don't know if that comes across. I hope it does, and I have fun doing it. That's it, man. Like, some of the nights that we stay up doing research or calling each other, or I'm sitting there berating you over the smallest minute detail, and look, no, it doesn't line up. The B doesn't line up. Like, listen, I can be a pain in the ass, I'll admit it, but this is a passion of mine and it's a passion of Randy's, and we want that to show, and we want you guys to have as much fun as us talking to these wrestlers. And listen, leave comments on YouTube, rate us on all the podcast
platforms.
Platforms. Give us some stars, give us some reviews, and let us know how we're doing, man. And if you want to see something specific, or you want to let us know something, feel free to drop that line. Like, we're very accessible, and just let us know how we're doing, man.
Yeah, definitely let us know how we're doing. Please send your feedback. You can follow the show on all the social media platforms. First off, subscribe on YouTube to our channel. Obviously, we have all the shows on there, and maybe Em and I will actually throw some bonus content up there at some point if we can get the. We'll raise up that count a little bit more. We'll start throwing some more some bonus.
I was thinking about that. Like, maybe midweek we might just go on there and then ham it up for a little bit and see what comes of it.
Yeah, I think
talk about what happened that week in wrestling. Like I said, there's a lot of content. I don't want to sit there and just do a show about one show or two shows. I want to do it about everything. It should be about everything. And so we want to be an all-encompassing show of wrestling.
And not only that, but we also want to make sure that we are giving back to you the time that you're putting into listening to our show. You're listening to us ramble on. We want you
about
guys
video games and backstabbings and guys jumping me in the video game because they can't beat me one-on-one. You guys know who you are. Randy instigates that often.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. And not only that, but I also have to point out one very, very, very important thing. You cannot stay outside the ring during a battle royal. You have to start match
Santana. No. All right. So what he's talking about is Santana Ortiz were in a tag team battle royal, and they stood outside a little bit to gain an edge. That was a strategy. It wasn't against the rules. If it was against the rules, they wouldn't be allowed to do it, Randy. Those are two of my compadres. Do not mess with them. And they're from New York, too. So they were smart. They stood outside a little longer, let everybody wear themselves down, and then they went into the ring. Smart. Got to use your noggin, man.
They cheated.
They did not cheat. That's not cheating.
I stand by my words. They cheated. Go back and watch the match. Everybody was in the ring.
I watched the match multiple times. They did not cheat.
They cheated.
No, you just hate when people think outside the box.
All right, well, and then the other thing is very, very simply, when you were wrestling a video game and you were in a ladder match, you fight to defend your championship. You don't wait till everybody's out of the ring. No, sneak up there and win the belt.
No, listen, you guys threw me out of the ring. That does not count.
I was not involved in it.
You sat there and you directed traffic, all right? There was even a time I had to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, the rules changed while I wasn't looking, all right? So next thing you know, there's a different type of match. You guys cheat. You guys cheat. And in video games, I'm a face. In real life, I'm a heel, all right?
Listen.
And you guys are the heels in video games. God damn, you guys just come after me.
We turned your son against you.
All right. My own kid is like, nah, I want to beat you too. It's like, what the hell?
With that being said, you can find us on this. We were supposed to be plugging, and somehow this.
Yeah, right.
It went off the,
we went
right
left
off
at
the
Albuquerque, man.
You can find us on YouTube at the Pro Wrestling, the Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast, and then also you can find us also on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We are all over the place. Give us a like, follow the show, give us a positive review, give us a 5-star review, because I can't speak for him, but I think we deserve it. And
look, I wrote it down on a different piece of paper because I forgot mine at work today. So follow us on Instagram, The Cut PW Podcast, and Facebook, The Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast.
And guess what? We're on Twitter at Cut Wrestling BSP. And by the way, if you want to find our shows as well, you can always go to backsportspage.com.
And they're
all the archives
archived.
All archived right there. And like I said, we had the Good Brothers and Rocky. We also had Rocky one-on-one. We had DDP in a 2-part interview. Chris Van Vliet and Conrad Thompson, the pro wrestling podcast kings, as we like to call them. We had Mike Law, Colossal Mike Law. On
Damian Drake,
the show.
Don't forget Damian Drake.
Free agent Damian Drake, and your favorite
Chris Bay.
We
What
got
happened
Chris
to
Bay, Chris Bay, PCO, and Tasha Steelz this week, and we got a good one next week too. But you'll find that out soon enough. So for Emerito Rivera, I'm Randy Zellea. We'll see you next week right here on the Cut Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Good night, guys.